Morning. This is our first attempt at doing an online lesson, so I'm sure it's going to be really dodgy, but we are going to give it a go. So when I saw you last, so last Monday, we did 2 stanzas of Eden Rock. So what I'm going to do for this lesson, and it might be that you do the work this lesson or you add to it another time, so I don't know how long this is going to take. What I'm going to do is just explain the bits of the poem that we've done already. So I'm just going to summarize what we've already talked about. And then I'm going to talk about the other stanzas as well. So what you should be doing is keep pausing this and add to your notes so that you've got notes on the whole poem. And then when we've done that, for Friday's lesson, I'll probably set you a bit of writing to do, and I will want that handed in to me via the Teams group that I've set up. So some of you have already, well, 4 of you actually have done the work that I set you, which was just a sort of test piece. But I will put on Insight that this lesson is going to go up, and that actually I want you all to be making sure that you can submit your work via the Teams app. Okay, so here we go. You'll know we've already talked about the fact that the poem represents the poetic voice thinking back to a childhood memory, but also using this memory as a symbol or a metaphor for the parents beckoning him to the afterlife. So we talked about that last week. Another thing which is also quite significant is the sense of benevolence with their waiting for me. There's a sense of patience and goodwill. But the somewhere beyond Eden Rock, the somewhere is quite vague. It's a vague location that further increases that sense of distance between the parents and the family group and the poetic voice. Now, we did talk about the implications of Eden Rock and all of the implications with around the word Eden, the connotations of the perfect world, but also the fact that human beings, well, Adam and Eve, were cast out of the Garden of Eden, creates a sense that this place that the family are, that they're even beyond Eden Rock, that they're inaccessible at the moment, because just like Eden is inaccessible to humankind, the parents are inaccessible to the poetic voice. However, Eden, the sense of Eden, can also be used as something perfect, so that what's being established in the poem is a sense of the perfect family group, that this is an idealistic, idealized occasion. Next thing I want to talk about is, well, just to remind you what we said about this, the father is in the same suit. So some of the things we said about that was that it might imply that they were poor, that he was always wearing the same suit, or it might imply that he's wearing, in the poetic voice's memory, the father is wearing the same suit as he did actually on that day. And then we talked about the genuine Irish tweed, the fact that there's a sense of pride in the tone there, and I didn't capitalize it, sorry, when I typed it out in the PowerPoint I didn't capitalize the genuine, and it is capitalized. And we did talk in the lesson about how that creates that sense of pride in this suit, that he hasn't got lots and lots of well-made clothes, but he has this one suit and he wears it. I would imagine on a Sunday they've gone out for a picnic, it's a special occasion. We also mentioned the effect of the enjambment at the end of these 2 lines, the fact that the enjambment after suit might suggest that he was continuously wearing that suit, that he only had one suit, and the enjambment after the terrier Jack suggests that maybe Jack the terrier was constantly or consistently at the feet of the father, so through loyalty. But we also did discuss whether or not the animal was scared of the father as well. The still 2 years old bit here, that's just because this is a memory. The dog was 2 years old at the time that this event took place, and it's obviously hasn't moved on because this is a moment frozen in time. Now, we did talk about what the implication of trembling at his feet was. We talked about why animals might tremble, and we mentioned that they might tremble because they're excited or because they're fearful. I can't remember what else we said, but or cold, that's what we said. So, and we didn't quite know why for the particularly in that first stanza, we didn't quite know why the dog was trembling at that point. Okay, in stanza 2, some of the things we talked about we spent quite a lot of time talking about the differences between the way that the mother was described, the amount of detail in terms of the way that the mother was described. So we see her described as, sorry, no idea what that was. We see her described as wearing a sprigged dress. Remember, I told you that sprigged just means that the dress has got a design of small, sort of a small floral design. So again, she's probably wearing her best dress for this picnic. But the detail is so much more evident with the description of the mother than the description of the father. So we know that the dress is drawn in at the waist, so it's either fitted at the waist or it's got a belt. She's wearing a ribbon in her straw hat. She's the one that spread the cloth over the grass, and we learn about the colour of hair. So the important thing about the colour of her hair here, the fact that it's the colour of wheat and it takes on the light, the important thing about that is it's rather an angelic description. She seems pure. The father seems quite distant, particularly if he's making his dog scared, if we believe that the dog is scared. But the mother seems pure and as if she's she's really admired by the poetic voice. So that's where we draw the comparison between this poem and the admiration of the mother in Before You Were Mine. Now, we also talked for quite a long time about the stiff white cloth. So the fact that it's white and the fact that we associate white things with purity and goodness, that links quite nicely with the idea that the white cloth takes on the light, and the hair of the mother takes on the light. So this sense of her being an angelic, her having an angelic quality is combined in both of those descriptions. So the white cloth and the hair taking on the light. So it emphasizes that idea. And we talked quite a lot about how formal this is in terms of a picnic. Like if we ever get to go out on a picnic again, if we went out on a picnic, we would just shove a blanket down and we'd probably, get it out of the, well, if it was me, I'd be getting it out of the cupboard under the stairs. I'd be, getting all the cobwebs off it. It wouldn't be a formal thing. It would be very relaxed. This has got a formality to it. They've probably stiffened the cloth, washed it before they've gone out. So there is a sense of formality and occasion about this whole event. Okay, exciting. Now we can move on to stanza 3, and we didn't really discuss stanza 3, so this is all new now, all the new things that we haven't actually discussed already. So in general terms, she's pouring tea from a thermos, so she takes a thermos flask that keeps the drink hot. So she's pouring the tea from the thermos flask. They're drinking the milk straight from an old HP sauce bottle. Now, what's important about that is there's a contrast here between the formality of the white cloth and the father's outfit and the mother's almost Sunday best dress. There's a contrast between the formality of all of that and the milk in an old HP sauce bottle, because there's a level of informality with that. But I think what that's really saying is that there's not a great deal of money in this family, which is possibly why they're making this into such an occasion. So this level of formality, that have made a great effort. So they've transferred milk from wherever they had their milk into this old sauce bottle to take on the picnic. And the screw of paper for a cork. Sorry about that little splodge. The screw of paper in the cork is also quite informal. So there's plenty of informality in what they're doing. the same 3 plates. It's just the same 3 plates that they always used to use when they went out on this picnic. So really, this is just creating, this stanza is here to create a real sense of what this picnic was like. So the details really creating a very vivid picture for us as readers of you know, the small elements that made this a very special occasion. My narration disappeared from these last 2 stanzas, so I'm going to, and from, there's some bits that have disappeared as well because I don't really know what I'm doing, but bear with me. So I will go through what I said about these 2 stanzas again. Hopefully it'll be as brilliant as it was the first time. So the first thing I said was about this first line here. The sky whitens as if lit by 3 suns. There's this sense of it, well, it's natural, beautiful imagery, but there's this real sense of something changing, and there's something, it's not foreboding, but it's indicative of something momentous about to happen, but not in a, it's not in a frightening way. And the 3 sons could be representative of the 3 people, so the mother, the father, and the son, who is the poetic voice. But it could also be representative of the Holy Trinity, so the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, because there's definitely a religious connotation to that whole idea. And the end stopping right at the end there, this end stopping here. Creates a sense of finality, that we've really moved on to a new stage. Now, the next thing that's quite important is the actions of the mother. So my mother shades her eyes and looks my way. So there's this real sense that this moment where they're going to come back together, where they're going to move on together in the new world or the next world, is coming closer. So she's actually looking for him now. So there's a real sense of her searching for him, that she wants him to be with her. And then the narration that all disappeared was most of it was about this idea of the drifted stream. Now I'm not sure, because I'm going to say it all again, but there might be a bit that you get twice, but I'm going to say it all again anyway. So the stream remains a barrier between the mother and the father and the son. So the son is on one side, the parents are on the other side. So it's a barrier between him being in on the earthly world and in the heavenly world. It could also represent the river Styx. That's Styx in Greek mythology, and that was a river which separated the earth from the underworld, and you had to cross it to get from one plane to the other plane, from the earth to the underworld. So I think what's really interesting, and you may get this bit twice, but the fact that you've got these 2 caesuras in the middle of the line here and here creates this sense of stop, creates a barrier. So because there's a barrier between one word and the next word, so visually, structurally, it creates that gap, and that gap can also represent the stream which separates the son from the parents. What's also interesting here is the difference between the father's actions and the mother's. So it says, my father spins a stone along the water leisurely. So he's not actively looking for his son, he's just waiting. So there's this sense of peace. There's nothing hurried about this waiting for the child to join them in the afterworld. It's a sense of it will happen in its own time. So he's quite relaxed about it, but the mother is more anxious, arguably, because she's actually looking for him. You should think also about why this word leisurely is separated. So you've got the caesura there, and it's sort of bookended by a caesura and an end stop, so it's separated out. It suggests that he's much more relaxed than the mother, arguably. Now, I think that was most of what I said about that stanza, but I can't remember, because I feel I've been saying it quite a lot now. Okay, here goes for this last stanza. or last two stanzas. So it depends how you look at it structurally, whether it's just a gap in a quatrain, or whether it's a triplet, or a 3-line stanza and then a 1-line stanza. So structurally, there's an argument to be had there, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the first thing I wanted to say, which I'd already highlighted, was that this stanza starts with they, rather like just like the first stanza started with they. So there's this sense of circularity, like this moving from one world to the next, this being born, going through life, dying, and moving into the afterlife is a natural progression. It's a circularity, it's a circular progression, and that's echoed through the structure of the poem, with they being at the beginning of this stanza and they being at the beginning of the last stanza. But you could also argue, because they is not in the very last line, perhaps that's also still saying there's a separation between him, the they there, and the I here, that that's still separated. He's still not ready to quite move over into that other world. Things have changed. I mean, they are beckoning him from the other bank, so things have changed now. They're actually now actively, they can see him, so he must be getting closer in terms of being ready to join them in this other world. They can see him, and they're actually actively calling to him to cross to them. So there is quite a big change there. He hears them call, see where the stream path is, crossing is not as hard as you might think. So they're now encouraging him to make that journey. Now, structurally, what's really interesting here is the fact that you've got the 3 lines separated from the 1 line. And you could, I suppose, argue that the 3 lines represent the family when they were all together. The 1 line represents him separated, whilst they're not together as a family anymore. Or just simply that the gap between the 3 lines and the 1 line is representative of the stream, that it's still creating a gap, that he's not ready to actually close that gap between him and his parents anymore. It emphasizes the fact that there's still a distance between them. Right, on this blank slide right at the end, I mean, it was in the middle. I don't know how it got there, but now it's at the end. I just want to use it as a blank, so you shouldn't be seeing anything, but I just wanted to say some things about structure, which I said on another slide, but I think that's probably got deleted. So all I wanted to say was about structure, that it's a regular structure apart from on the odd occasion. So it's mainly written in quatrains, and the effect of that is that it's quite comfortable, it's steady, it creates a peaceful tone, it feels right. So perhaps that's suggesting that this movement from one world to the next world over time is the right structure. It's the right thing to happen. However, there are only really half rhymes. Even right in the last stanza, if you're thinking is and this, it's only a half rhyme, so it suggests that maybe there's a it's not quite comfortable, it's not complete, it's not time yet for him to move from the earthly world to the heavenly world. So the structure echoes this sense that this is about time passing, but it's not the right time for him to move from one place to the other. I hope that makes sense. Now, what you'll have noticed from doing this online, so I can see now we're on to about, in terms of narration, almost 19 minutes, and it will have taken you a lot longer to keep stopping and starting to make your notes. So that's probably about right in terms of lesson length. So that's what I'll probably aim for if we do this again. What you need to do is give me some feedback in terms of whether or not you're all able to access the sound. I mean, I don't quite know where I'm going to put this yet, but when I've put it somewhere, I'm going to put on Insight where you can access it, and you can access it in your own time. It doesn't actually have to be at the time that we've got the lesson. But what you'll notice probably about doing a lesson like this is, if you want the window open, you can have the window open. I'm not going to go over and close the window because Danny's opened the window really far. You can pause me when you want to pause me. You can go and have a drink when you want to go and have a drink. not quite sure how we're going to get back to doing it in the normal way in the classroom. I'm sure we're gonna love this, apart from we can't see each other. When I've feeling more comfortable with it, and as long as I know that you can all access it in terms of the sound, I might start actually having putting sound and video on it as well, because I can actually record myself speaking to you. So I might do that as well, but let's just see how this goes first, and I see how I'm going to upload it. Okay, I hope you are having a good week so far. We miss you. School is weird without all of you there, and we'll see you soon. Bye.